Absolutely. Well, can I do it in a way that makes it all make sense? I'll try.
Please.
And you forgot a third one there about the mechanics of how impeachment would work if we ever get to that point, although it's awfully premature despite the chatter we're hearing about it. This investigation is hard because it's very awkward to try to get to a place where you have a sense of genuine independence when you're investigating the President of the United States. We used to have, after Watergate, an independent counsel, a special prosecutor law. You continue to hear members of Congress calling for that, which is rather wistful. Either they don't understand or they're in denial about the fact that Congress in 1999 let lapse the law that created a prosecutor who could not be fired by the president, a reform that was put in place after the Saturday Night Massacre of Watergate fame. We as a country now simply lack a criminal investigative mechanism that it does not ultimately subject to the president's direction and control. And so the appointment today of a special prosecutor, a special counsel, not a special prosecutor, not an independent counsel, but a special counsel, and especially this one, Bob Mueller, who seems to be a man who's very hard to intimidate or push around, should give us a measure of independence. But at the end of the day, if President Trump wants to direct him to be fired, he can do so. And so that is one of the things that's going to be looming over this investigation that was not looming over independent counsel investigations in the 80s and the 90s. And of course, an investigation, a fact-finding investigation from Congress itself, or if they were to appoint a commission, would still be, in some senses, a partisan exercise, be made up of Republicans and Democrats or appointees of those parties. And as we've seen in the Benghazi Commission and so forth, it quickly denigrates into helping your team or trying to get the other team, which is not always conducive to finding out information. So I'll pause there for a minute.
All right, Charlie, let me ask a follow-up, and that is, haven't they chosen the one guy who is difficult, if not impossible, to imagine getting fired from this role? A guy who is physically almost the giant Comey is, and is a looming presence over American law, justice, and the FBI.
Well, you know, before the president fired Comey, I didn't expect that to happen either. We are sort of in uncharted territory here, and the sense of things that could happen in theory, but we don't think will happen because it would be strange, it would be a violation of norms and traditions and the way things are done and optics. That does not seem to be a particularly good guide to how things happen in 2017. And so I think that the fact that something is possible is something that we should not look away from as we embark on watching Bob Mueller try to make sense of this incredible mess.
Hey, Matt, speaking of the incredible mess, am I correct that the congressional investigations, I thought it would all going to be put in a wheelbarrow and brought over to wherever Mueller rents office space. They're going to continue concurrently, so we're going to have that noise and stress and leakage and all of that?
They're going to continue concurrently, but I think what you'll see is Bob Mueller try to deconflict the investigations to make sure that there is never, you know, that the Senate and the House investigations don't do anything that will possibly interfere with his ability to eventually bring criminal charges. And so I think as an early sign, if we see the Justice Department not turn over these memos that Jim Comey wrote and they do it at Mueller's request, it's probably because he thinks that's something, you know, potentially obstruction of justice is something he needs to look very strongly at. But I'll say at the end of the investigation, one of the things that I think can be particularly unsatisfying about a criminal investigation, at the end of this investigation, Bob Mueller will either bring charges or he won't bring charges. But what I don't think we should expect from him is a big public report. He'll write something private that will go to the Justice Department. They could release some version of it, but it won't be the kind of report you see from a committee or from an inspector general or from a commission. And that's why it actually is appropriate for these committees to proceed separately so they can have public testimony, they can reach conclusions outside of criminal law. If there aren't criminal violations, but there's still things that were deeply inappropriate, deeply in conflict with our values, they can expose them and write reports and let the American public decide on their own.
Terrific, informed conversation, gentlemen. We'll be calling on both of you again many times. Thank you so much for staying up late with us tonight. Matt Miller, Charlie Savage of the New York Times. Up next, after our next break, congressional investigators, not slowing down, as we've been saying in the wake of this bombshell news. We'll look at that ahead when we come back.
When you're close to the people you love, does psoriasis ever get in the way of a touching moment? If you have moderate to severe psoriasis, you can embrace the chance of completely clear skin. In fact, 4 out of 10